So over the course of this campaign, several of the Republican nominees have brought up Hillary Clinton's marital life and Bill Clinton's sexual infidelity during the 90s, and have even gone on to imply that she in some way enabled it. So many of them have dabbled at that, but Carly Fiorina recently has made it sort of the core of her public appearances. And we've got a couple of videos for you where that becomes incredibly clear, including a reference to something she said at the debate.
What is your assessment of the economy right now? And I would like to hear from all of you on this one, beginning with Ms. Fiorina.
I'm not a political insider. I haven't spent my lifetime running for office. The truth is, I've had and been blessed by a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things in my life. And unlike another woman in this race, I actually love spending time with my husband.
Oh, she just looked like the happiest prairie dog in the world when she said that. So that was weird, but it gets even creepier and weirder, combined with the normal politician's inability to say something that is abundantly clear in this clip with Chris Matthews.
Do you believe the Clintons have a real marriage?
They've been married for a very long time. They've been married for a very long time.
So it's a real marriage?
They've been married for a very long time.
It's a real marriage thing. You'll say that.
They've been married for a long time.
Why are you hiding from an answer?
I'm not. I'm answering
because you
your
brought
question.
up this very unpleasant subject
of
just to
wow,
to
Chris,
the audience.
there are so many other things we could talk about, like the fact
I'm quoting
that
back
Mrs.
to you
Clinton
what you brought up in the debate.
Mrs. Clinton wants to go to the White House. She's qualified for the big house. She should be prosecuted. She has not been prosecuted for things that took a great warrior out of office, David Petraeus.
So Chris Matthews is doing a great job there. He literally said, why are you hiding from an answer? And she was needlessly attacking Hillary Clinton's married life and combining it with, I think, the number one thing that turns off voters. You get asked a question and you just say the same thing over and over again. You refuse to say, if you don't think she has a real marriage, say she doesn't have a real marriage. It's a complete waste of time and it's ridiculous, but at least say it. You just want people to leave the conversation getting that impression, but you don't want to be quoted as saying. It's just cowardice. It's ridiculous cowardice.
To be fair to her, though, she did use slightly different intonation on each of the ways that she said it. It was like an actor going through his lines in some sort of improv.
Like voice acting, like, oh, you want it faster?
How do you want me with a little bit more wry, Carly? A little bit more, okay, yeah. No, a little bit more sinister. Okay, let me try that way.
They certainly have been married. They certainly have.
Exactly.
They certainly have been married.
It's great. It's great. I don't think her husband. I mean, she scares me.
Fiorina or Hillary Clinton? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the expression of, I mean, look,
that smile.
I don't know how she thinks.
Shit-eating grin.
It's the shit-eating grin. And she seriously thinks, you know what? I don't even have to worry about this Republican thing. Got it locked up. I'm just going to run against Hillary now. You're at like, what is she at? 2% maybe?
Yeah,
maybe 2%.
She has no chance, which is great because she's a terrible person. But this is exactly why I could never run for office, because if I were running against her and she had the audacity to bring up my marriage or bring up something that was probably very humiliating to me in the past as a way of gaining brownie points among Republicans and voters, I would harm her. Okay, and then I'd have to go to jail and it would suck, right? But it's so below the belt. Like, as a woman, the idea of another woman going on a stage and very publicly making statements like that about my marriage, it would drive me crazy.
Well, she's blaming Hillary Clinton for Bill Clinton's activity.
Right,
That's
for being
exactly
weak.
right.
Basically for
That's
being weak.
exactly
And
right.
after so much, she makes so much political capital about being a feminist and women's values and being a strong woman and what it is to be an independent woman.
Yeah.
And that she goes for that lowbrow. If you're right, if any of the other candidates who are all men made that comment, they would be singled out as being chauvinistic.
Great point. Yes.
All of those things that she gets away with. I mean, this is not the first untruth that she's peddled during this campaign. Obviously, we're all sitting here, remember the Planned Parenthood.
The videos, yeah.
Videos that but then she repeated that and saying, I saw this dead
even after everybody knew it was wrong.
Right, and then and the danger, how dangerous it is to make those kind of statements in light of what then subsequently happened and the lack of accountability that she had with taking responsibility for the fact that those words were very damaging and they could inspire people in all sorts of terrible ways. So it's the extent to which, yeah, you're right. She's just trying to re-enter the debate, taking kind of like a Trump tactic of saying something outrageous, trying to pull focus as she's now dropping ever further down and down and down.
Yeah.
They're just upset. It's amazing because they consider themselves the party of family values, the most moral party, and the entire time they're fear-mongering. They're saying the most hideous things about other individuals.
They're plotting killing people, mass death, carpet bombing. They're plotting and they're doing crap. She goes on to say, we're going to show that clip where she said, "I would have divorced my husband if you did that."
Why don't we actually play that right now?
It struck several people, more than several people, I think, as sort of a mean-spirited comment. What information do you have about the Clintons' marriage and their relationship that we apparently don't have?
Oh, I've been called all kinds of things on this campaign trail, and I'm quite sure that people have said things about me that we would consider mean-spirited as well. Look, Bill and Hillary Clinton have craved power their entire lives. Their entire lives have been about amassing power.
I get the criticism that Hillary Clinton craves power, but what Mike asked you about was a very personal critique that you gave of her marriage to Bill Clinton. And I just want to know, why did you say that, unlike, that I actually love spending time with my husband? Why even go to the point where you're criticizing her marriage? I don't understand it.
Well, I guess I would say, if my husband had done some of the things that Bill Clinton had done, I would have left him long ago.
So why are you criticizing her marriage? I'd like to criticize her marriage right now.
So I thought New York liberals were the ones who are cool with divorce. So she's saying divorce is a family value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, come on.
You guys brought up the bombing. I don't expect them to be able to link their values between war and marriage or whatever. But if infidelity is the worst thing, let's just stay on infidelity then. Donald Trump has been married multiple times, has cheated on his wife, and wants to bone his daughter. But that doesn't seem to bother you for some reason.
Correction, counsel. Correction. Can see his way to do. I don't think there's a slight distortion there, but I'll give it.
Okay, he fantasizes about boning his daughter.
Something like
if
that.
If it wasn't his daughter, he would like to bone her.
Yes.
That's the clearest way of putting it, most accurate way.
And that's the thing that's stopping him at night from boning his daughter.
And let's remember, his wife is noted as the only future First Lady to have been photographed naked on the front cover of GQ magazine.
I did not know that.
Well,
I know what I'm googling.
No, she was in a GQ spread, not on the. She was handcuffed with a bejeweled handcuffs to an executive case on one of those sort of shag pile rugs in
Trump's
his jet.
Wife?
Yeah.
No, I
haven't seen that.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
Not only did I see it, I ruined it.
Oh my God.
Whoa. It's not even the watershed yet. Hello. Whoa.
The last thing I want to say about this is they apparently have the same deal with presidential candidates that they have with Fox News, where in the Republican Party, amongst conservatives, if you are not a white male, the only way that you'll be accepted and have a chance is if you go on and prove that everything they believe about your group is true. So if you're Ben Carson, you have to go and say, even though apparently you were a perfectly delightful child, you have to go and say, I tried to stab people. I was violent. I was unruly. I tried to hit people with tire irons. I was violent. Thankfully, Jesus made me better, but they're all violent. And if you're a female candidate, apparently you have to go up and you have to be catty about each other's sex life. You don't need to do that, but they seem to think they have to prove the stereotype's true to be accepted.
Hillary Clinton has been in public life since the 70s, right? She was involved with the Watergate hearings, right? Her husband was a two-term president, was impeached. She was a senator and a secretary of state. There's a lot of shit to criticize Hillary Clinton about.
Thank you, yes.
And you have to do some just a scum of the earth kind of comment.
Scum of the earth.
And it just reveals, Carly Fiorina just reveals herself to be a craven human being, right?
Yes.
She completely has no integrity. She's proven that her best ability is to be able to lie earnestly, right? She can really earnestly lie. She can get indignant when she's lying. And for her to sit, it's laughable, right? I just wish that Chris Matthews would have laughed at her instead of getting upset. And Sam Stein too. Like when she said, oh, the Clintons crave power. She's saying this as she's running for president.
Yeah.
Carly Fiorina is not.
Right.
That's like Chris Christie yelling at you for spending too much time at the buffet. These are the things I'm connecting.
Hating.
There's a little.
Fattest.
There's an interesting wrinkle to this story, though. And look, I'm not sticking up for Carly. I think that she should be criticized for what she's saying. But at the same time, she's making Trump-like attacks on Hillary, and she's being shot down immediately. Whereas Trump would make similar remarks and has made similar remarks, not necessarily about Hillary, and he kind of gets applauded for it.
Yeah.
You know, he gets brownie points
I don't know
for
about
it.
that. I think he's just better at withstanding the bullshit and with the onslaught. Because he said some outrageously inflammatory. I mean, to where the Muslims cheering in the streets when the Twin Towers came down. I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes.
Right.
Well, can you give me evidence of that? I saw it. And he's got a. I think
He's better at it.
He's better at it. He's got a better poker face.
Yeah.
And he's got a little bit more nuts about it. Then I don't think that's a gender thing.
He does. I don't know. I feel like it is a little bit of a gender thing. I think that for Carly, she comes off as a bitch, right? For the public, I'm not saying like, look, I do think she's a bitch. Let's keep it real. But for most people, when she makes comments like that or attacks like that, she comes off as a bitch. When Trump does it, he appears to be strong, right?
I don't disagree with you. If a woman is strong, she's a bitch. If a man is strong, he's a strong, powerful leader.